And there we are. Hello, the YouTube's lands. I'm live again.
Hello, people.
And I have a guest. Oh, my word. Everybody, welcome Just Another Redshirt. Hi, Just Another Redshirt. We were having a significant discussion offline that we're just probably going to continue here because Just Another Redshirt isn't. I'm just a vocalist, or at least that's what I consider myself. That's what I consider myself, man. But that's probably my most practiced instrument. But Just Another Redshirt is at least or has been, or would you consider yourself? You never really lost your musicianship.
I can't read music. I can't read music anymore. Although, if I really work at it, I can. So I could teach myself again.
But you were going on
I played
at length
a number of
violins.
Yeah, well, I played. That was the one. That's the instrument I played first. It's not the only one I played. The one that helped me the most actually was piano, because pretty much every other instrument I've ever played, including my own voice, fits onto the keyboard of the piano in terms of its range. So I think of an instrument's range in terms of piano keys. So it's a low C below middle C to a C above middle C. That was like, that's a bass to a first tenor. And it's that's just the way I look at it. And piano's a wonderful instrument to even be able to do, because you can just bang away barrel house style. You can accompany yourself on it, just as you said. I've done the same thing. Play rhythm guitar, just strum some chords and sing a song, as long as you get the chords in the right key as you're going. But yeah, piano was the one that challenged me probably the most, because violin I had very good teachers. Piano, I had an organ teacher that taught me piano. Yeah, and I learned everything
going
wrong.
around in keyboarders. You might be a pianist, but you'll primary work on an organ, or you might be an organist and you'll primary work on a piano, and you'd like cross over. But they're two different instruments.
Yeah, and the way you touch them is fundamentally different, which I found out when I dated a woman in college who had spent 6 years trying to train to become a professional pianist. That's player of a piano, not the other word. And I showed her how I played. She had a piano in her apartment, and I played something for her. And she said, "You play like an organist." I said, "That's not coincidental. My teacher was an organist." And she showed me how she would touch the keys and hit the keys. And it's completely different. It's completely different. And it's hard to describe. I could show you if we were on camera, but it's hard to describe. But the point is, an organist basically bangs on the keys. And a pianist touches and then drops his hands on the keys, as opposed to slamming them down and stabbing. The best way I could describe it is that an organist stabs at the keys with his fingers. So
you say the problem is, you don't have any. I think yes, I've seen that and I've heard that now, and I didn't even. That's my level. I did not even watch. I was just aware of it, almost subconsciously.
Yeah. Right. So the thing about piano, and the thing about, because what I couldn't do is I couldn't play music that had two separate moving parts for left and right hand, because I couldn't watch both of my hands at the same time, and I couldn't feel where my hands were on the keyboard the way I'd been taught to play. So she worked with me for a while, and I got a book of 2-part classical music, whereas the hands are going in different directions all the time. And in college, I went in and said, I want a practice room. And the college's practice rooms all had Steinway pianos. Every room had a Steinway. And so I got a piano. I got a room with a piano in it, and I started playing. And then the next semester, I went and auditioned to take piano lessons for credit. And the teacher was very skeptical. I played a Bach 2-part invention. I played something else. I wasn't great at all. And she said, why do you want to keep studying piano? I said, well, I spent 9 years with the John Thompson's books. And she went, what? Nobody goes past grade 4 in the John Thompson books. I said, well, I went to grade 9. And I said, I learned to play the Clementi sonatinas. And that was the most sophisticated music I learned to play when I was taking piano. And a year or so ago, I started trying to learn the Bach 2-part inventions. She said, did you learn any? I said, well, I can play one for you. So she said, so play me a 2-part invention. So I played a Bach 2-part invention for her. Again, not very well. But she looked at me and she said, anybody who can teach himself to go from the Clementi sonatinas to the Bach 2-part inventions deserves instruction. I'll take you on.
And that's how you sold it.
Yeah, that's how I sold it.
Yeah. Just the idea
that...
Oh, go ahead.
No, it's that, instruments... My favorite instrument, like yours, like you said, you're a vocalist. My favorite instrument is my voice because it's the only instrument I can improvise with. I've never been able to improvise with anything else. Never. So,
This will be true with
me.
But
it helped.
I understand completely.
But it helped me. But it helped me to play other instruments because it gave me, the fingering on a violin, every note is dependent upon where you put your fingers, which is similar to voice, because you can always go flat if you don't maintain the pitch. You've got to nail every note. Violin is like that. Guitar is easier because it has frets, and piano is easier still because all you have to do is hit the right keys, because it's pre-tuned.
Yes.
But they all offer different challenges. Because violin, you finger with one hand and use the other for the bow. For piano, you have to use both hands. I play baritone horn. You need 3 fingers for that. And they all offer different challenges. And I had a blast learning all these different ways of making music.
Jeez.
And I wasn't great at any of them.
The fact that you even learned any of them at all, I mean, obviously you had the experience learning the keyboard, specifically the piano from organist, but the thing that you've also learned the violin for a time and the other instruments. It's just, to me, when I was growing up, never had the interest, so that was part of it, and parents never knew or cared or encouraged. I had a little toy wind organ when I was younger, so I would come home from going to church, so you had the church songs, and a particular church song would be like in my head because I liked it so much, and immediately I would go to the thing and I'd play the notes through, and I'd finger out some chords, so there'd be some chords and there'd be some melody, and I'd just play it, and it would marvel them, but they never cared to try to say, maybe you might be interested in a little more than just figuring out on your own. They gave me a guitar. I think I might have asked for a guitar when I was just before 10 or just after 10, and I learned to play guitar, and only the most basic part, not even learning to pick the guitar, not even learning to properly do proper fret work, really getting down to the idea of, well, if you're going to learn to play guitar, you should learn to improvise, and that's fret work. That's learning how to manipulate the notes on the fretboard. But no, didn't care, didn't do any of it. But your experience, at least when you were younger, is, varied, learning strings and keyboards, and that's impressive to me, at the very least.
Well, I got an early start. I was 9 when I started taking violin lessons, 4th grade, and started piano shortly thereafter. I played violin for 10 years. roughly, and took lessons. Played in the orchestras in junior high and high school, and I was looking for something else to play and do in the music program because I had bad knees, so I couldn't do sports in high school. So I went to the music director of the music program and I said, "Well, what else is there?" And he says, "Well, there's marching band, and you need to play a wind instrument, or for those." I said, "Well, what's a wind instrument I could learn?" He says, "Actually, I'm short on baritone horn players. You want to learn the baritone horn?" I said, "What's a baritone horn?" Then he walked over to the wall of lockers of school instruments and pulled out a baritone horn case and opened it up and said, "Put the bell on." He said, "That's a baritone horn here." And I proceeded to learn the baritone horn.
All right.
Yeah. No,
I think the only other thing I tried, here's not a proper marching band instrument, at least not that I think of, but I tried for a short time to learn the flute.
Oh yeah, that's a marching band instrument.
I don't know why it came down to the flute, but because I think I would have been much more interested to learn one of the saxophones if I was going to play a wind.
They're tough to make sound good. In fact, short of a French horn, short of a French horn or an oboe, an oboe is almost impossible to produce a sound out of because it's double reed. And the French horn, which is almost always out of tune until you fix it. There aren't that many harder instruments than the saxophone. Saxophone's a wonderful instrument, but it takes a long time to produce. It's like the violin. For a long time, you produce sounds that animals don't want to be around.
Very disturbing noise.
Yes. Whereas most of the brass
screech,
instruments,
scratch, and on the violin it would be.
Oh no! Jack Benny had a Stradivarius and could make a Stradivarius sound terrible. That's a Kreutzer Etude, and he used to saw away at that thing, and it's like, I know you can play it better than that, Jack, but not that much. But yeah, he had a incredibly expensive Stradivarius violin that he always used to carry as a prop or play, but he wasn't great. He just wasn't. But you can with a brass instrument and the baritone horn. I was lucky. The baritone horn turned out to be a brilliant suggestion because you have to purse a certain portion of your lips, the part that's inside the mouthpiece on a brass instrument. And the bigger the mouthpiece, the more you got to have vibrating. And tubas cover pretty much your whole mouth, and trumpets are the inside of a trumpet mouthpiece, about the size of a dime, and that at a bugle. And I've tried to play a bugle, and I can just barely manage to produce taps, but nobody would ever ask me to play for a military bugle. The baritone horn is about an inch in diameter on the inside of the mouthpiece. You can actually get about a half of your lips inside, and they have to move, and it's playable. You don't have to practice lip control and pursing the outside of your lips and all the rest of this as much. And so it's easier brass instrument to learn. It's only got 3 valves. You don't have to get the trombone slide in exactly the right place, which is why trombones sound so bad most of the time. And the thing is, it's lower pitched than a trumpet, but you can play as fast a song, and I did. There was one march that we played that was absolutely type of thing. It was just this constant change of notes, and you were double tonguing, behind the lips to try and interrupt to make the different notes. And it's like, holy cow, this thing flies. It's like Flight of the Bumblebee played on a large brass instrument that sits in your lap. and you can do it with that instrument, and it's actually kind of cool. You listen to somebody going, I can't believe something that looks like a miniature tuba is playing something that fast. But yeah, playing different instruments was, for me, was cool in the same way. I think from what I've been talking with people, that gamers are like, what's the next game? What's the next game? What's the next game? I want something new. I want to try something new.
Yeah.
And then they learn it, and they enjoy the learning of it, and then they play it, and then they get bored with it, and they move on to the next game. And I did that with instruments.
Jeez. Wow.
Yeah, did that with instruments. So by the time I got to college, I made it into the Glee Club, an a cappella group called the Zumbis, and the Five College Orchestra, playing second violin, like last seat second violin. No, made it by the skin of my teeth. And then I notified the Five College Orchestra I won't be there because I don't have time.
You really are a band geek. That's what you are.
Oh, I was band fag. That was what we called ourselves. Yeah, we had a champion. We had a championship.
Say that again.
Championship football.
I don't know if this will work, but say it again. What did you call yourself?
I'm not sure. Actually, now that you're streaming. I probably shouldn't say it again now that I think about it. So it was the band, British term for a cigarette.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And we
didn't actually say it, didn't you?
Very quickly.
Maybe something squeaked through there. Maybe. I don't know if it will be.
But yeah,
understood.
I hope I didn't. But
well,
no, we had a championship.
It's not like I'm monetized, so I'm not really worried about that.
At least I don't want to get you in trouble with the bots. I don't want you to get you in trouble with the bots.
It's weird what you'll get in trouble with the bots. It might. I mean, one of the things is that since we are streaming, I mean, I wonder about it all the time because I don't know if you're watching now, but
I'm not. I've been looking through.
Okay.
I don't see you live. Hang on, I'll refresh again on YouTube.
Well, let's see.
Wow, I'm about halfway to Gary.
I'm probably not subscribed to myself, so I won't see myself, right? If I'm not my own, if I'm not subscribed to my own channel.
I see it. Yeah, I see it. I've muted it.
Okay.
But yeah, okay. So yeah, I see the stream now.
The stream now. The thing is that this is called League of Maidens. It has an adult element to it, but the thing is that you might not know unless you look closely at your characters.
Right.
Well, this is my tank. So she's a thick lady, very thick.
Yeah.
All of them are relatively thick, but she's actually got it upstairs and a lot in the arms and legs. So, yes.
Yeah.
But the thing is that she's kind of in a sort of lingerie thing. So it's always like, what would the bots? I really want outfits. I mentioned this in a stream that I played 2 days ago. I really want like more superhero outfits so that we can use that because this game is just being developed and it's got kind of limited options, so it's kind of just for the developers are giving a few things to their limited audience. So the thing is that one of the things that you've got besides lingerie armor, you've got schoolgirl outfits, you've got a lot of things that you would find. I mean, this the whole thing is male gaze stuff right and left. So it's like you'd have a model or a dancer or a stripper dress up in an outfit to titillate and so on and so forth. And that's a lot of the alternative costumes. And one thing I'd really like in this, since your character is kind of a superhero type character, is more variation with outfits that you could dress the titular characters up in, all the various characters that you'd want to play. I'd like to dress up superheroines so that they fit the role rather than just I mean, titillation is part of it, but I really want to do that. I mean, all my characters have like wings and they got horns because I just like horny girls, ha ha ha. But and amongst all the other things, and yes, they're all like set up. Generally, they're set up thicker than as not, and I give them a lot downstairs because. Yes, I'm following a girl around as she's kicking ass on all these monsters that I'm taking out. So, I mean, in no uncertain terms, it's a view from behind. So I'm playing into that, and I'm playing into that all. I mean, full hilt. So if you say a word that might be cancellation worthy, that's not the only thing I expect to get canceled for playing this content while we discuss things like band geek stuff, or as you say, the term of that would describe a band, a member of a band in the UK, because it would not fly with most people to say, "What did you just say that word?"
Exactly.
Did you say the word? I think you said that word.
Yeah,
that means a whole different thing than you're using it for.
It was similar for us. It was similar to when Hillary called people the basket of deplorables, and all sorts of conservatives decided they were going to call themselves henceforth deplorables. They were going to wear it as a badge of honor because they had no respect for the person who'd labeled them that way in the first place.
It didn't mean
we were called
practically taking it and owning it.
Exactly. And we took it, when we were called that, we took it and owned it. And we were like, yeah, we are. That's us. And we had a championship football team and a mediocre marching band. And I came to the conclusion in high school that from seeing other teams and their bands, that it was a law. Call it Redshirt's law of marching bands. The better the football team, the worse the marching band. And the worse the football team, the better the marching band. But we were not great, but we were enthusiastic.
Yes.
And, yeah. Because everybody could get in a marching band. If you played an instrument that was in a marching band, you were allowed in the marching band. So we had everybody. And then we had wind ensemble after football season was over, and that was only the people who were invited to play in wind ensemble by the other music teacher, who is still a rather famous modern composer. And he was very fond of modern music, and I played a number of pieces for him in wind ensemble that I didn't like at first, and they grew on me, and I now own a CD of one of the symphonies that I played one movement from in high school. Okay. And I remember being, we had a huge, with fewer than 1,000 students, maybe, I don't think we had 1,000 students in my high school, but we had probably 25% of the high school involved in one way or another in the music program, be it orchestra, band, wind ensemble, musicals, choir, you name it. We had close to 250 students involved, and I was in a regional chorus in New Jersey late in high school, and one of the assistant choir directors was asking me about my high school's music program, and he says, "Oh, you play in the orchestra?" I said, "Yes, I do. I play violin." He says, "Well, how many string instruments do you have?" And I said, "Okay, let me see. 8 first violins, 6 second violins, 4 cellos, 3 string basses, and violas. Oh, we have 4 violas. Okay." And I added it all up, and I said, I don't know, like 22. And he looked at me, looked like he was about to burst into tears. He said, "I have 3. Because he asked me, what did we play? And I said, well, we played the first movement of Beethoven's Fifth Symphony. We played the overture from Oberon. We played this, played that. And he's like, what? No, we played. And the other thing that was cool in high school, which, it didn't exist shortly after I left, and certainly doesn't exist today. The orchestra would set up on stage And we do a half-period concert, and half the school would file into the auditorium, listen to an orchestra concert for half of the school period, applaud respectfully to everything we played, and then file out, and the other half of the school would be brought in, and they'd listen while we played the exact same program again for the rest of the period. And I told him that the choir director, the school music director, that from a school in eastern New Jersey, and he went, if I tried to do that, we'd have a riot. So I was very lucky in the music, in that I had one of the most amazing music programs in my high school. Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I sang in the choir. I played violin in the orchestra. I played in the wind ensemble, the marching band. I was in musicals. And yeah, it gave me something to do besides sports. What's that?
Would you dox you? Would that be doxing yourself if you mentioned, like, I mean, like, were you part of a civic program, or were you in the middle of nowhere and they just had a great music teacher and a music program that was actually amazing for such a small community? Or, like, would you dox yourself if you mentioned that?
Nah, I don't think so, because I'm pretty sure I wasn't in the, I know that I wasn't in the only school district that had a great music program. Because in New Jersey.
My question would be, where were you? It was New Jersey?
Yeah, it was New Jersey, and that I have said before. I went to school in New Jersey, grew up there. Man, you know, there's a lot of schools and a lot of districts and whatnot in New Jersey. Most people don't even know that there's a New Jersey outside of the New Jersey Turnpike. So, you know, if it's not on the New Jersey Turnpike, they've never heard of it.
Well, you're just traveling. You're just on the way through at that point. No,
yeah.
I mean,
and you're traveling through the.
To me, New Jersey is like, it's. I mean, you're talking East Coast. You're talking in between DC and New York. So it's not like it's definitely more than a wide spot in the road as communities go. But no, I mean, most people that outside of New Jersey that probably know a few things, like, they know Bon Jovi, they know Jersey Boys. There was that, wasn't there a, what do you call it? Real, quote unquote, real TV.
Oh yeah, the Jersey Shore.
The Jersey Shore. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. See, that's where that's what I get for trying to come up with something to actually further the conversation, is that I go, I never actually watched Jersey Shore, but I knew about it, and it's one of those things. It's a what I'm trying to think of. It's one of those television shows that is scripted, but it's meant to look like you just took a camera and you're filming people off of the street.
Yeah. But I mean, the Jersey Shore is a good contrast to other parts of the state. For example,
because that is not the whole of Jersey.
It isn't. The coast is very different. There was a township in New Jersey, not far from where I live, where you had to have 3 acres to build a house. That was a zoning law. You couldn't put a personal residence on less than 3 acres. And in a town called Far Hills, New Jersey, where the USGA Golf Museum is located, once upon a time, you needed 10 or more acres to build a house. You might as well own horses at that point.
Right. You'd actually, I mean, you got land, you might as well have animals or a farm.
And that's a part of New Jersey most people who've never been to New Jersey have no idea exists. They have no idea why New Jersey is called the Garden State.
Yeah. Point. Because I think of, I mean, New Jersey doesn't seem to have that much land, but I know that Jersey's got a lot of parts to it. I mean, hanging off the end of Pennsylvania, more or less. But one of the things I think about is, one of the things I think about is that I go a little woo-woo, and I think about things like, people talk about the Jersey Devil, and where the Jersey Devil is known to exist is a large stretch of what, like forest land or something? Because it's going to escape me now. You understand? You know? Do you know about the legend of the Jersey Devil? At least as far as a cryptid in New Jersey.
That actually I don't.
Really?
But I know where it would live.
I want to call
in the
like
Kittatinny Mountains.
Jersey. What is it, man? No, I'm not going to be able to come up with it. I'd actually have to like stop and do the Google machine to figure out what I'm actually talking about. But yeah, you're talking like a large forested swath of land, so it's some place where you could actually hide wildlife. And it's like, what? Wildlife in New Jersey? Is there such a thing? And it's, well, yeah, you've got farmland, you've got large acreage out there, places away from the major cities. Yeah.
Yes.
It exists.
Yeah.
It's there.
Yeah. Yeah, the northwestern edge of New Jersey that runs up against Pennsylvania and ends at New York at a peak called High Point. The Appalachian Trail actually goes about 40 miles through New Jersey there. And I hiked that one time. And once you walk off the road, the trailhead, and walk in onto the trail and go and start up the Appalachian Trail, you are several miles from the nearest other human being, at a minimum, all of the way to the northern border of New Jersey. It's hills and woods and blueberry fields on top, and it's absolute wilderness. It was at the time. I don't know whether they've developed it now, but no, you could spend 4 days while hiking 10 miles a day, which I did, and never see another human being, and never see a building, never see a car. I think we crossed one paved road, and that was it. In 40 miles. So yeah, that part of New Jersey, and that part of New Jersey is absolutely rammed with black bears these days, because you can't hunt them in New Jersey, so there's no population control. And where I used to ride my bicycle as a kid in the woods behind my house, children can't play anymore because there are black bears living in the woods there. And people can't go into the woods behind their houses because
the wilds of New Jersey. Functionally, the wilds of New Jersey.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. So
I do live in a state that it classes significantly different, not just because of its total area, but also because of water, also because of the forests, and also because of its Midwest status. Because it's Michigan. So we've got a lot of land. And you think if you ever have heard of Michigan by anyone who's actually lived here for any period of time, you probably think of it or hear of it, at least most of the people who live in most of the most populous parts of Michigan live in a relatively flat area.
Yeah.
Now, that is the nature of much of the lower state, especially where most of the people are. But once you get into the northern part of it, you get deep forests and variation in the land that you actually get to see. And one of the things, and it's even more wild, because I would consider the northern peninsula, the upper peninsula, the UP, as almost like a little bit of Canada and almost a little bit of wilderness, actual wilderness. I don't know if that classes similarly to the deep wilderness parts, because when you talk about the Appalachian Trail, well, people have been there and they travel it a bit, but it's still a trail. It's still a bit wild, and the bears that live there uncontested and have an actual dangerous population. I mean, I know we got bears in Michigan, but geez, in the Upper Peninsula, there are places where people don't generally rule the the pine and deciduous forests up there. It's wild. So
you'd appreciate this. I worked with a guy who, I don't know whether he had family there or he lived there, but he had a sign in his cubicle that said, "Say ya to the UP, eh?"
Yeah. Yep.
Referring to the Upper Peninsula. Yes. It's a completely different world.
It feels a little bit of Canada, like it's a little bit of Ontario, but for the various historical reasons that it was purchased by who it was purchased by, and it was grafted into that part of Michigan, and they are not a separate part. They are part of the state of Michigan, the Great Lakes state. So functionally, that's everything but Lake Ontario. That gives us Superior too. Haha.
Yep. Yeah, no, the UP is, the Upper Peninsula is just, from what I understand, is wilder than anything I've ever been in. And I've been in Maine. I've been in some remote parts of Maine, but they were paper company land.
Uh-huh.
So,
lots of woods.
There were it's lots of woods and dirt roads, and you yield to the lumber trucks if you know what's good for you. Because they have the right of way no matter what.
Yes.
And there's a road across the middle of Maine, just south of Millinocket, called the Golden Road. And I've been on it. I've walked it. And it's a dirt road. It's a dirt road. It has drainage ditches on either side. It doesn't look like much of a much. And you're like, why is it called the Golden Road? Well, because the paper companies run logs to mills in Canada on this road. And those logging trucks, you've ever seen a logging truck, it has these long metal stakes sticking up off the bed, and they hold the logs.
The forks that keep the logs on the back. Right.
That they only stack to the top of those things when they're on public roads, because they're not allowed to be over a certain weight.
Okay.
On the Golden Road, the logs are stacked twice as high as those walls and tied down with cables. So there's, instead of 10 feet of logs on the back of the truck stacked on the back, there's 20 feet of logs stacked on the back. And they weigh they weigh enough that if you put them on a regular old highway, they'd chew up the asphalt in about a week. The Golden Road is something like a 10 to 15 foot deep bed. They excavated it. They put everything down. They laid this on top of that. They laid this on top of that. Then they put sand and gravel on top of the whole thing. And the reason it's called the Golden Road is because they said, if you had paved a road this wide from coast to coast, from edge to edge in Maine with gold, it wouldn't have cost any more. And it's been around for like 100 years, and it's still there.
My first idea was to think it was the money of the logs that they were actually moving on the highway, but I like your story better, that it actually would have cost the same amount had they paved it in gold in order to make this thing last forever while they carry all the weight that they carry across it.
Yep. And yeah, it's when one of those trucks goes by, if you've got a backpack on, as I did, the guide told us, if a truck comes by, jump into the ditch, lean against the far side of the ditch, and cover the back of your head if your pack doesn't cover it, in case they throw up rocks. And you just get the hell out of the way. You don't walk along the side of the road while a truck goes by. You dive off the road and cover. It's like duck and cover. If you're too young to remember that, I'm too young to remember that. I saw it.
I'm not too young. I'm not too young to remember that I actually did see videos in my youth of what you saw in person on on not they weren't videos, they were on film.
Yes.
Whatever.
And
you saw the original film. I saw the videos of you kids like you seeing the films.
Yeah, duck under your desk.
Yep. And because all we did was go into the hall. It was the same thing for tornadoes. We did the same thing for tornadoes that was expected to be the same thing that we would have done if we were actually still worried about the Russian. Well, we were worried about the Russians, but we didn't do the drills like you guys did.
Well, they ended in the mid 60s.
There you go.
Mid to late 60s, they ended. And so my first wife, who was older than I was, remembered doing duck and cover drills. I never did them, but I saw the films of them. Yes.
Okay.
And you know, I like the comedian who said, you know, this is merely bend over and kiss your butt goodbye.
Yes. Because that's all that it is.
It wouldn't have helped even a tiny bit. And I'm like, you know, as I got older and I learned more about physics and the physics of atomic bombs, I was like, yeah, he was right. It wouldn't have helped. You might as well just bend over and kiss it goodbye because you're toast. It won't matter much. But yeah, it's the UP is cool. I remember in northern Maine, and I'm sure there's places in the UP that I would say I would look at it the same way. There is some old growth forest in northern Maine. When you get north of Paper Company, you get up towards Mount Katahdin, the tallest peak in the state. There is some true old growth forest, and you look into the woods on either side of the Appalachian Trail, and you see hillocks. You see mounds covered in moss. Yeah. Those are 4 to 5 foot diameter tree trunks that have been there for God knows how long. They're rotting, and the moss has covered them. And you imagine trying to walk through that woods, and you get halfway up one of these mounds and sink into your waist, into rotten wood. I'm like, you couldn't walk through that. You couldn't bushwhack that. You know, that you'd be constantly be detouring around stuff you can't pass. And it just, you know, I'm like, thank God there's a trail here.
Yeah. Hey, Just Another Redshirt.
Yeah.
Because I'm calling you out because we actually have people in the chat right now.
We do. JP's.
Yes.
Exflariax
showed up and popped in and said hi, and it's like Flurry might be gone now, but JP's showed up too, especially when we started talking about the films that you watched and the videos that I watched, and he reminded us that no, if you hide in the fridge, you will be okay, especially flung across the desert in one.
Yeah. There's only one problem hiding in a fridge. They don't have a handle on the inside.
No. Not to mention no padding, and there's plenty of room in there to be banged around as you roll across the hard pan. And
actually, there's a horror. I think it was a Stephen King short story about an evil refrigerator in an empty lot that used to kill small animals, and then it whetted its appetite, and it started on children who would climb into it. And you can't get out of one. If the door latch is shut, you can't get out of a refrigerator from the inside. There is no handle.
Classical refrigerators had to have a frickin' law passed to make them capable, to always make sure that they would be capable, because that was a problem. A child could get in there, and if there wasn't any parents around, I mean, geez, they were practically soundproof, if not bomb-proof. They were soundproof, so a child would be lock themselves in there to play and would be trapped. And I don't know the cases that this happened, but this was an issue, and it was brought to a civic something to be brought before people who actually made fridges and say, you have to make it so it's possible for these things to be escaped from. You have to put switches, door latches on the inside, because this thing
Yep.
happens. This happens to people. This happens to children. It's happened.
Yep.
Why would they do that?
They did the same thing. And the funny thing is, they did exactly the same thing about 10 years ago or so with car trunks, automobile trunks. If you look in a modern car's trunk lid, there's a little fluorescent tab hanging from the trunk lid. And it has a picture of a person leaping out of the trunk of a car. If you pull on that
to
thing,
let you know,
the lid opens. Yeah, it's hysterical. I mean, it's like, okay, I guess we had, they finally decided to address the serial killer taking victims into the woods in the trunk of the car problem. But yeah, that's like I had a car that had a trunk so small that you'd be hard pressed to put my Labrador Retriever in the trunk of that car. It was that small. But it had the handle to open from the inside, which was comforting.
always good to know. Good to know that you got that.
Yeah. So yeah, modern cars, not good if you want to transport conscious people, in the trunk of the car. Just a practical tip there. Consumer information right there.
Absolutely, because everybody needs to know these things.
That's right.
And now we've probably gotten far away from what our original point was, talking about the forests and things.
We started talking about music.
Yes, well, that's one of the things. I mean, I didn't have any plans for this stream. It's just the fact that you actually responded in Discord when we went. I wasn't even thinking about starting a stream, because normally this is the issue. I start a stream early in the morning, and it's like, well, mostly no people aren't around. I mean, people are around in Europe for streams like this early in the morning or late in the evening, or in Australia. Hail Geek Hazu. That's a name I haven't seen before. Welcome to the stream.
Yes, not one I've seen either.
It's nice to see new faces, as well as it's nice to see old faces like JP's and Valeria.
Yeah.
But yeah, I just started this up, and like I said, Redshirt, this is one of the things. I am far less interesting by myself. It's nice to have someone to talk to and talk about various subjects. I mean, I don't know if someone would be interested about some of the discussions that we were having when we were talking about your history with the instruments and your history with the your musical instruction and where you came from and some of the things you learned, and that was interesting. But we can always talk about that at length, and we can move on from that too. Or in Hong Kong. Excellent. Welcome. Well, before Hilaire told me about the stream, I was nodding off in front of the computer. Well, I don't want to keep you awake if you are staying, but I appreciate you showing up, and thank you for dropping in. If you do nod off, I appreciate it. And, I mean, this is the time to, most people would be getting to sleep. I'm just waiting for a boss to show up now, because essentially I'm just going through a few. I finished my dailies early, Redshirt, so I didn't have to worry about doing anything more with that. But I'm doing the farming activity. Basically, there's one thing in this game that I need more than anything else, and that's a whole bunch of these materia things. Not necessarily the same thing as what they were in Final Fantasy, but it is necessary to level up certain things in the game. And everybody who's watching, this game is like alpha, and it's something I do to waste time. I don't sell it much. It has adult themes. It's called League of Maidens. It's just a few developers working on it and expanding their world. And I just go on here with my cheeky. I like to refer to them as my cheeky little band of ladies on here, because they Their cheeks are abundant. the rear cheeks.
Mm-hmm.
You take care, JP's Tabernac. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for dropping in and hanging out with us for a little bit.
Later,
and
JPs.
don't let the desk hit you on your way to sleep. Never a good thing.
Well, I have bitten the bullet, as it were, in terms of getting back into gaming. And
you have.
What arrived
Oh,
what
dear.
arrived today was a Nintendo Switch.
Oh no, you've got a Switch. Valeria,
Yes,
you
and
have
I've got Mario Kart 8.
Oh yes. They could actually invite you in the Geeks and Gamer streams now and
They're not going to
massive
invite
fun
my
of you.
ass. No, that'll never happen.
Well, they
That'll
invite
never
people like Eric July in, who apparently they rake over the coals because he's having his own difficulties learning to play the game. Yes, good night,
Yep.
JPs, and good night, Valeria, and take care. I appreciate you both showing up, and I mean, it's nice to have people talking in chat, especially people who divert me from actually doing my game thing and from talking to you and just having fun talking to chat, because chat's also a nice thing to ping off of as well. So Geekazu and our friends who are going to sleep now, JP's and Valeria. And I'm going to, I don't know how much longer you are going to stay on, because I've got a few more things to do. And the boss has shown up. So I am going to be concentrating on this pain in the butt, literally. No, not this guys, but I'm going to take care of this guy, because we can't have miscellaneous monsters hanging out when I'm taking care of massive big bosses, guys.
Yep. Well, I'm going to leave you to it and see if I can get some sleep.
You are, ladies and gentlemen, I will eventually be alone, so you won't have to hang out too much more, because I will just be the silly voice on the end of the stream. Redshirt, thank you for hanging out with me. I mean, I don't know if you want to hang out with me while I'm knocking this creature out of the park here, but I don't want to keep you up either if you have to go. Definitely.
Well, I'll give you one shot at it. If you don't succeed the first time, I'm going to say goodnight.
Oh, I'm not too worried about this. This creature drove me to distraction until I learned what some of its issues were, like this one.
Yeah.
Well,
all right. Let's see.
Realize where my keys are, because now I let it hurt me. But yeah, it used to be a big issue because I couldn't figure out what I need to kill this thing. But it was more than that. There is that first attack that came out. This one right here. Originally, I had my mouse set up to be the blocking, because that's what this game is set up to do, that you're supposed to block with your middle mouse button. And when I tried to block with my middle mouse button, which happens to also be a zoom wheel, that just didn't work. So I was constantly being destroyed by that attack. And I would... time after time, I would go up against this thing and I would be able to avoid it when he screamed at the sand, and the sand would blow up around me like this is doing. And I would wait for that little... I didn't even know at the beginning that the only way to hurt him was to fire at that patch on his head when it glows. And when he doesn't have green shields up, protecting himself like a little bitch. Yes, the little creatures that grow out of those things aren't even much of a concern. But yeah, this one, it drove me to distraction because all these little rules and all these special attack modes and not being able to block was one of the biggest ones. So I eventually had to put this thing, I had to go through auto hotkey to redefine this thing as a key that I could control, and I could control with ease.
Yep.
So, yeah, now the thing is just a matter of patience, because it's constantly doing these things to attack you, and you have to do like this one. When its belly becomes red is usually when it jumps. The yellow is the scream, or the yellow is the sand scream. The white is the kind of the blast that you have to put your shield up, or else it's going to completely wipe you out. And then this is the second mode where it grounds itself into the earth and have to take off its shields. And once the shields are off, you attack each of its hot legs. And I'm not really concerned about a perfect score or anything, so it doesn't matter if I get a little bit of damage here. Oops, got it again. See, that scream on my particular character can really take off a lot of damage. So now we're attacking the issue at hand, which that huge monster, there's a little woman right there. It's kind of its brain. So this is the last stage. And then it jumps, and you don't want to be on the ground when it lands, when it's red. And you got to run around while 8 explosions happen when this goes on. And then it jumps, so don't be on the ground. So it's, yeah, I didn't get used to this, and I was so upset that I couldn't figure out how to destroy the thing, and everybody was saying it's easy, and screw you guys.
Well, I have to say, I applaud your character design.
Well, thank you. Yes. Well, I like to think that she's definitely got all the meat that she needs to be a powerful superhero type character.
I would say so.
Yeah. If you saw the other character, she's like the tank. I think I deliberately made the healer class. She's like blonde, and she wears a halo, so she's functionally Mercy from Overwatch.
I think I saw that on the last stream I was on with you. It was that character.
Yep. Okay, time to finish this. Meanwhile, other critters are coming to attack me. Okay, you're done. And that's that. Now, what do I need? I need the Chaos Essence. I want Chaos Essence. You're going to give me Chaos Essence. No, you're not. You're going to give me Green Arcane. I can get those anywhere. Well, I can get them from another place, but I didn't really need them from you. Okay, yes. So that is
and done.
The Union. That is the Union,
well
also known as Onion, because we don't give this thing any respect. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to say so long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu, and sign off for the night, because it's time for me to get some sleep. I got things that I'm going to do tomorrow, or later today, technically.
Yes, with your tooth, amongst other things.
Yes, it's been a pleasure, and I appreciate
Thank
you
you, sir.
bringing me on and starting up a stream. It was fun.
Thank you, sir. It's always nice. I mean, that's the thing. I'd much rather do this with other people around, because I'm barely entertaining to myself. I appreciate it, sir.
Yeah. All right. Well, my pleasure.
Ladies and gentlemen, just another red shirt. This man is like a mod extraordinaire on many channels and a friend of mine, and I appreciate you showing up, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And to everybody who's still in the chat, be seeing you.
And while just another red shirt makes his departure, I'm going to disconnect. That was just sharing with live stream from my Discord. So we're going to head back to normal space. And run my settings. And do the other stuff. If you'll let me do the self-production. Oh, there they are. Come on. Don't fight. It's so much better if you don't fight. Yes. Yes. So, yeah, we had a little party in the chat just now. A few friends showed up. And an individual from a faraway land. Yes, I could. Obviously, I am like a brand new for streaming or entertaining anybody on YouTube. And one of the things is I'd like to be entertaining. It's not something I don't think I couldn't do, but I'm sure I'm a, what would you say, ranked amateur, green as fuck. But yeah, it's one of those things. I'd like to think get better at it, and you're only going to get better at it with practice. So yeah, keep doing it. Keep doing it while playing games and while singing crazy little tunes or something like that. I don't know. There's so many things that I could do, and I'm probably going to find out better ones along the way. But the best thing is, at least for me in YouTube terms, is to actually have a chat. And it's understood from the point of view of me. I don't have that many people. Most of the people that I know are probably asleep. Like just another red shirt. Had to go to sleep. Got things to do tomorrow. JP's and Valeria got to go to sleep because it's what most people do, so that you can get up and do things later when most people do. But I, on my second shift schedule, I do things like this early into the morning. And this is actually later than I normally go, but I mean, I got to have friends around and talk. And I mean, jeez, the discussion that I had a little while ago on this live stream with Just Another Redshirt, I mean, never got to really talk to him about his experience with being a musician of varied talents. Hail to you, Darius Munchausen. What's up with you, my friend? It's good to see you this late night or early morning while I am screwing around on my silly little pretty thick woman game. Okay, we were working on Mirror Day. Yes. Good morning to you, Darius Munchausen. I hope this morning finds you well, whether you are staying up all night or going to sleep or whatever. I appreciate you showing up, sir. Oh my. And that is another thing. You bring up stuff like that, Geek Hazu, and I'm going to do cheesy impersonations, crappy impersonations, because my Midwesternisms probably color every single impersonation that I do. But yes, as a trekker from way back, one of my favorite things is all of the things that you might have heard from James T. Kirk, and of course our favorite helmsman Sulu, who has made quite the meme of himself by that one single 2-word phrase, "Oh my." So yes, now my little task here is going to be, I already did this with one character. I have 4 characters. No, 3. 3 characters left to do my little daily materia collection. No, not you. This guy. And I do this little thing with them just because, well, while I'm collecting materia, I'm killing a few basic monsters, so. Oh yes, you like killing from a distance, or its best. This is my healer. Meriday collects health from things that she kills. And she moves around like when she moves around at her normal high speed, she looks like she's doing a pogo walk. But at least they all fly when I need them to, more or less. And they keep saying that. They keep saying they're going to drain my bones to dust, but they don't really do a very good job. So I don't really appreciate their quality. They're just coming at me with saying things like that. It's not like I can believe you anymore. You say that all the time. It's like the guys that say they're going to pull out my spine, and it's like, you haven't done it yet. You're crazy. Oh, I probably targeted that way badly. Could have done a much better job positioning my firestorm. Boomered it! Boomered it. Yep, I boomered it. So this will be a lot of this. But fortunately, we'll get to I go through the harder ones after getting my... Mythier's my main, obviously from the name. Tera is my tank, and she is very slow at actual DPS. Well, she's a tank, so she's meant to take damage and take lots of damage. So... But main attack's very slow. Next slowest is right here, Meriday, with her healing attacks. And these are the only real, except for the main magic attacks, the area of effect, and the missile attacks. This is pretty much her only thing she can do. So I really got a thing mainly for my my warrior class Mythier that she gets it done. Not to mention her prime attribute. Her prime attribute, which she's got most highest skills in, is attack. And because of having such high attack, especially with such high attack bonuses in her armors, she just unloads on everything that I want her to kill. So that was the one that I fought the Onion with here recently, the Union. And any fight that I do similar, if I attack the Union with any one of my other characters because they happen to be in the world, it takes forever because they are at least twice as slow, twice as low in the DPS. And many of their attacks are just not as good. Yes, these girls are all functionally like superpowered superheroines or things like that, and every one of them is got plenty of junk in the trunk, Darius. Because I like big butts and I cannot lie. Just being honest. Just saying. Me and my toxic masculinity, me and my male gaze, gonna get canceled eventually. Yeah. Or I'll just do other things. Other things to do, if you know what I mean. Now we fly to the south, and in the south is the C and the A materia. And the C and the A materia, the blue and the yellow materias. The higher level materias. Okay. Yeah, I have to fly, or I will eventually have to shrink if I go large. Oh, I wasted that jump. So, collect extra. Yep. So, this is a little quest. This is basically what I'm doing with each of these characters. It's specifically a quest where instead of getting random materia when I attack these structures, let's do this because this is easier. Just place it in the right place this time. There you go. You get one of each of the main materias, as well as possibly, besides the coins, as you see there, you might get an extra materia with it. Oh, that's not good. And you get to do it twice. So that means each of these tasks for each of these materia, 2 quests, gives me 2 of all 3 types of materia that you get possible for these. And that's just one ways to farm it, because if you go up normally, anytime those things show up, I can get none or as many as 2 random types of materia from these materia piles, these mining locations. Yep, they are referred to as materia, basically the same thing as you might have heard of the little jewels that are made out of Mako energy in Final Fantasy. Or at least, when I think of it, I think of Final Fantasy VII, because that's the first Final Fantasy I ever played. And in Final Fantasy VII, they used the life energy of the planet, the Mako energy, and some of that was converted into these gemstones, which could be used for essentially magic. They empowered your characters and they could be used for, quote, magic spells, and they were referred to as materia. But they were an entirely different thing than these materia. These materia are just like special gems. Things like, you see this? A-class materia. You can get A-class materia from this, and they are 3 different types. A1, A2, and A3. And just so, like in this case, like if I go to my inventory, these are the materia. So you have these D these grade D1, D2, and D3, C1, C2, C3, and B1, B2, to B3. Now I got these A class materia, so I'm going to get the A1, A2, A3. And if you look at them, they're like, the class 1 is like a polished gem, class 2 is like a brick, the class 3 is like a rough gemstone. There are also Class E and Class F, which are the cheap stuff, which can be found on the north and south side of Freedom City, which is the first location that you actually see in the game. There's a base where you start in and where you learn most of your steps for how you're going to play the game. That's your training, your first training mission. And then you start to go out into Freedom City. And eventually Freedom City is overrun by these creatures referred to as the Fall. And this gets into the lore of the game, or at least the lore that's being built, because this game is brand new. And I don't know if it's gonna... There's lots of... One thing that I would say I would complain about as just a general gamer is there's a lot built into the game that the makers of the game built in lots of, well, loot box structures and monetization and things like that. So yes, you can spend a lot of money, waste a lot of money auto leveling. You don't have to, but it's obviously something that if someone wanted to, they could pay in and basically become top tier relatively fast. The only thing that you can't pay into is stuff like this. You can't pay into farming things, farming materia, farming, going out and attacking monsters. In order to get certain drops, you just have to keep doing more attacks. And that cannot be bought. But there are things that can, and there are things that help. So the loot box and monetization are definitely a thing that this game has in it. It has now, and it's so new. It's not very advanced. It doesn't have a lot of areas. It has just these two main areas. It's about to go with a major update right now in the next few weeks, maybe as far out as some months. Well, I'm actually done with this character, so I should stop what I'm doing. Go and park her at home, dump her materia into the storage, and go to the next character. So yes, you got monetization and things like that. So this place can make money. Like, I signed up for a Patreon to get a few of the things that you can get for doing that. And that's a monthly thing, which I don't particularly care for. See my RuneScape experience, which I will explain more in the future, or I have explained elsewhere. But yeah, so I paid into this, and I've been here for a little over a month. And like a lot of these things, all of this stuff are options that can be bought. Much of it can be won, but it's a lot of getting free drops. There's things like these gems. If you have these crates that they have, these loot crates, you can get them, but in order to open them, you need gems, which you can buy, shards, which are a very rare substance that you use for a lot of things in the game, but at least you can earn them, or keys that are drops. The keys are, of course, the easiest and the cheapest. The shards are pretty expensive, and the real world currency. So the real world currency makes it easier, and I don't want to. I have some, so I'm going to spend that. But there's ways that they get you with the outfits that you can get, the costumes. This has adult-oriented content in it. if it's not obvious from the character, she can go nude. That's definitely a possibility in this, but you will not see me doing that here on YouTube. It's definitely something you can do if you wanted to play your character that way. So, yes, for obviously lots of male gaze, but for the women who might also like the female form, there's plenty of that. Can't women have the female gaze? And so on? Putting away and away, my materia goes, my materia goes, my materia goes. Away and away, my materia goes. So I don't have to deal with it anymore. Sure! Right, Darius? I don't know what you're suring. I might be a little bit behind. I've got the thing on lowest latency so that I might actually be understanding what you're commenting on, and I don't know if you're a tired Darius Munchausen, but you're ready to go to sleep or something. But you might, because it's early in the days, or it might be late in the days wherever you are. I don't know. I really don't know, Darius. You'd have to tell me. You'd have to inform me of these things, because I'm just not as omnipotent as I pretend on TV. Okay, all that stuff put away. I've got 3 other characters to get through, and it's almost 6 in the morning. Okay. Parking. And yes. Or 2. No, I only have 2 to go. Thank goodness. Raythier. Yes, how you feeling, Darius? It is nice to have you here and commenting in chat. And I don't know if Geek Hazu is still out there. I kind of want to say the name in various ways, because I don't know from Hong Kong if you'll permit me to apologize, but I see Geek Hazu, and I kind of want to go Geek Hazu or something like that, and I don't know if that's, I mean, it feels Japanese or something, and that doesn't make a whole lot of sense if you're from Hong Kong. Well, but Darius Munchausen, or Darius Munchausen, I don't know. I'm completely off the rails. I'm getting tired. I don't know why that would be. But I definitely won't be going to sleep early on this one. Now this is my assassin. She takes things out with very fast blades, but she's got absolutely no resistance. Portuguese. I live here for 10 years. Hazu is just a nickname. Love anime and nerd stuff. Excellent. Excellent. Sometimes I like to say I am both geek and nerd, and at various times both have been true. But I always have to think about it too much to remember how much I am nerd and how much I am geek. Because I definitely am both, but they interfere with each other. It's something about my personality. I often explain it to people that I'm kind of broken. because I've got all kinds of different personalities or different personality traits. If you go into that basically that Jung thing, and you talk about extroverted, introverted, and you talk about judging and feeling and all of those different traits, at various times I scan all over the different types of the personality traits, because like I mentioned, the broken personality, the only thing that holds true all the time, and I don't know if this is true for you, but is the introversion. I am definitely, I can, and it's weird that I definitely can be extroverted. I can go out there, I can be in public, I can interact with people, I can do all those crazy things, and I can get charged up from different people, especially what I refer to as bright people, especially like when I talk about attractive ladies. It is the bright ones. It is the ones that charge me up, and I sort of like, I bounce off them, and it enriches my ability to communicate and be extroverted when I'm with certain types of people. But most of the time I'm just introverted. I am at ease in my own zone, my own space. I can entertain myself at length. But realistically, and this is one of the things I mentioned, Geek Kazu and Darius Munchausen, having you guys in the chat and having people that I can actually sort of like, play as audience to. I appreciate, it's not just appreciation of that, as a matter of fact. It's not just appreciation. It's I am more around other people. And I like being that more. I hope you appreciate it too, quite honestly, because if I was just a silly sod here in my living room playing this silly game, it's definitely much less. You're watching Matt, and I just saw this while I was watching Matt playing Fallout and came here. Wow, Matt, yeah. Matt playing Fallout Vegas, as I recall. Because I was over there too, and I dropped in and said hi and said a few things, dropped in a like, and moved on. No, that's one of the things, is that it's... When I was younger, Geek Kazu, I was very sensitive about getting out in front of people, and it's something that I broke. It's something that I had to get over in order to do it. Specifically to be a musician when I played guitar in grade school and in high school, and when I did the vocals, when I did the vocalist stuff. I had to break it to get out in front of people, and eventually I did that whole thing about being... A lot of people have the fear of speaking in public or fear of performance. I broke that fear relatively young, and it was something that weighs on me. It still is something that is always like there, like I want to be prepared going in front of people. I want to be at least in some sort of idea that if I had to improvise, I would be fully capable of it. And that would be a level of preparedness. That would be a level of knowing I would have things to back up whatever I was discussing or whatever I was performing. Like, that's one reason that when I do this, I've got like the game that I'm doing. I can just keep playing that, or I can park the game somewhere and we can discuss something at length. Or if I was actually doing performance, which is something I'm not really prepared to do on YouTube, because even though I am a vocalist and part-time hobbyist musician, I'm doing other people's stuff. So it would have to be, number one, like covers, but then it's other people's stuff. So it would have to be a complete cover. I'd have to like provide my own music and things like that. And I'm definitely not prepared to do anything like that. To like say since you're in the fandom, Geekazoo, you might know about Dan Vask, who Lady Gravemaster brought onto Gary's stream that one night, and I think all of us really appreciate how he's around. And man, I appreciate Dan Vask, because Dan Vask makes me jealous of my growing older as a vocalist. As I grow older, I'm losing INTP. I'm not going to be able to get all the thinking, perceiving. Introvert, it's IN something. Introvert, perceiving, thinking, and I can't remember it. See, that's where I am. And yes, Gikazu, I mean, Dan Vask is number one, he's young. He's been working at his craft for at least some time. He's inherently talented, but he's also learned his craft and learned it well. And man, got a marvelous voice. And I want the world for that guy. I want him to just be marvelously successful with his capability in his craft. Intuitive, thank you, Darius Munchausen, for providing me with the information that I wasn't ready with. Yes, I keep having to go back to the Jung test to find what my stronger traits are: thinking, feeling, perceiving, judging, intuiting. So you're probably going to have to fix me up with that too, because those are the traits that between the extremes, I always land different places. But I do have strengths. I do lean toward particular parts of them. Just like I am very strong introverted, but I still can break out of my introversion into extroversion, and I live there times. And it's like, how can you be both? Well, we're all complicated individuals, but I don't know what it is about my personality, or if I had formative experience that broke me and made me more inside myself than outside. But that would be something more that I'd have to I'd need a counselor or something to discuss and go over, or I'd need to do more reading upon myself to figure out what it actually means. But yes, I love Dan Vask, and Dan Vask is way more metal than I have ever been, but I will no longer be as metal as he is capable of being, because I just don't have this anymore! I don't have the high ranges, I don't have the falsetto. I am fully in my baritone now. I can stay down here all the time. Or I can sing softly, and I can sing with meaning and passion in lower registers. But wanting to sing like a rock star, when most of them are all the time, they're up there, they're up here in their throats and in their nostrils. That's where metal singers live. Or, I mean, I'm not even talking about the growling and stuff that some of them get into, but when you hear Dan, and Dan goes so metal on a lot of his metal tracks, it's marvelous hearing him craft that. And one thing, I definitely don't want that guy to lose that if he can keep that longer. I mean, my older sister is and will forever be a fan of the band Kansas. Band that might have started up as early as the late 60s, but came on strong during the 70s, and a lot of interesting music that I really like too. But the lead singer, Steve Walsh, he had high registers that he would sing in, but he performed his entire life. And Steve eventually broke with the band a little while ago. He He finally retired after singing with them for a very long time. But being on the road for ages took a toll on the man's voice. And in the end, he destroyed his voice by doing the constant singing and the constant pushing and the constant using his voice up here instead of down here. Down from his diaphragm instead. Singing up there, singing the highs and the power of singing up in your throat and in your nostrils. And it eventually destroyed what control that he had, so that he could not perform the songs the same as he had before. And dang, you know when you want to, because I know this now. I understand it in the losing my upper registers, my actual solid tenor voice. That it's something that I'm hard pressed to let go, because there's songs that I like singing certain rock and alternative and pop rock and metal and other songs, and I want to do them, but as soon as I realize I've got to go way up there, it's like I can't do it, or I can't do it properly, or I'm going to have to sing it an octave down. And I hate it. I can do this. I did this once. I knew how to do it. I mean, that's the reason why I got this mic. I got the vocalist mic. I got the Michael Jackson, or I guess it's the Joe Rogan mic now, but I have this mic. I went and I spent the money on this mic because I wanted to be able to do vocal performances with it. But most of the vocal performances, if I do them, are going to be in my baritone register. And it's not going to be metal. Or at least it's not going to be any real metal. It's not going to be like Dan Bask metal. Fuck yeah! Yeah, I'm glad you guys are here and hanging out with me while I'm doing silly little game stuff. It is good to have people to talk to, especially this early in the morning. We do this, and we're going to grab some more material, and I only have one more character to do after this, and then I can put my main character on off-duty stuff. And then I will be going to sleep, guys. And that's a good thing, because right about now, in my neck of the woods, the sun is coming up. I'm not a vampire, but I have the skin tint. I knocked all the corners off of my canines, so I don't really look the part. All broken, all gone. Get dinner! It's dinner time! See you next time, guys. Great stream. Thank you. Thank you, Geekazu, for your very kind opinion of my stream. I appreciate it. I hope you have some great dinner. I hope it's very tasty. I hope it's piping hot if it's supposed to be, or piping cold if it's supposed to be. Something like that. Yes, have an excellent dinner and take care. And I hope to see you again. Thank you. And I don't know if you can hang out, Darius, but I appreciate you hanging out too. While I do my silly little killing the monsters with my warrior ladies. Well, that was probably not a good idea, just going head on into these guys. Yes. One thing about my assassin here, he's very susceptible to high scale damage. Like this elemental could take me out in a second if I don't watch it. That one hit takes off like 2/3 of her strength if I don't dodge it properly. There we go. And I hope you're having an excellent evening or morning or midnight, Darius. Whatever it is for you, I hope it's the best. The absolute freaking best. Because everybody deserves more best in their life, especially since most things are just normal. Most things are pretty regular. 6 a.m.? Darius, you are actually in my longitude. Excuse me while I do the thing to orient myself because dyslexia is a killer. You are actually in my longitude, man. It is 6:01 here as well. And I've been up all night. Oh, wasted it again. We are partying the night away, Darius, you and I. Just hanging out here on the YouTubes, doing the live streaming thing, while I just babble about on and on. Incoherencies pouring from my mouth. Oh, don't tell me you're actually that close. You don't have to dox yourself, by the way, Darius. We don't need that. But Darius, you are nearby. It is good to have a homeboy. Or home whatever you are. Because I am presuming your gender. Blah, 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 blah. It's good to have you here. A person from the Detroits. The Detroits areas. The Warren and Troy and I'm not going to be able to remember that many. Not while it's this early in the morning. As I am slowing down. I am slowing down, and that's not good for high-speed finishings. Yes. Because Darius, that functionally makes you a former neighbor of our own Vigilante Williamson. Till he moved to the Carolinas. But I hope well for the boy. This man has some of the best hot takes out there. Or at least in my opinion. That's one thing. I'm on the YouTube. I don't think of myself as a hot take guy. I am considered and thinking about things most time because I think of most of my hot takes as shit. Quite honestly. Well, the thing is that that's one of the reasons that I first found Ethan Van Sciver, that I first found Jeremy from Geeks and Gamers, that I first found Nerdrotic Gary, that I first found Doomcock, because while I wasn't pulled into the kerfuffle that was happening at the beginning of CBS All Access that eventually became Discovery and everything thereafter, I was kind of in the zone with Star Wars and Marvel and Disney. And although understanding, I was out of comics for a while, but Marvel had started up outside and it was such a wonderful thing. And then Disney purchased it, and I think, well, Disney's got all that money and Disney is making things. I mean, they made the popular, was it Twisted, the retelling of the Rapunzel tale, and the Frozen, and they weren't bad as new things. Disney still made new things, and I like them for what they were, and I actually liked those movies. I mean, Let It Go, actually, from my point of view as an old man, Let It Go still sticks in my head a lot of times. But I thought they could provide money to it, and they could keep the thing going, and they could keep the actors in, and it would actually proceed from there. I didn't know about what was happening in comics. I had basically cut off my comics from the recession in 2007. And then after that, then the purchase of Lucasfilm, and not seeing that as a bad thing, and seeing The Force Awakens for the first time, and yeah, I could tell it was the original Star Wars retold a different way. But all I was seeing was the best parts of it and what I considered as a whole tale about it, because I had lived through the prequels. I had lived through George Lucas CGI and Yes Man, Wet Dream. I'd lived through all of that stuff with Rick McCallum. Yes, George, we can do that, George. Let's get that done for you, George. And no one telling George that maybe you needed like 2 or 3 more takes on those actors. So I thought, well, this is just another person's take, and it's not great. But hey, we could get even better stuff out of this because, hey, it's Disney, and couldn't be actually bad, could it? And there were things like Star Trek, which, I mean, this is just examples of my how easily I can. Oh, and I've already forgot it, Darius. I've already forgot what Doomcock said about the that you can allow yourself to be taken in by a thing, and you basically put on those pink spectacles, and everything looks good. And hypnosis. You can be fully taken in by the hype and by the pretty colors and the bright lights and the spectacle and the grandeur, the simulated grandeur. And I watched Star Trek 2009, and I wasn't happy about them taking out Vulcan, and it wasn't great, but I thought it was interesting in its own way. And then Into Darkness came out, and retelling that story, wasting a great actor to retell the story of Khan. Yep, there you are, hypnosis. So, yeah, I was like broken over Star Trek first, and then Star Wars came along, and I was not really turned off with that. And then they came out with Rogue One, and I'll tell you one thing: I was so disconnected from the hype in Rogue One. I didn't know about any of the previews for Darth Vader actually being in the movie, much less that whole Taylor at the end of it. And yeah, it was a slog through the first. They didn't tell a very good story. But after coming out of The Force Awakens, and it wasn't that great, but hey, it was Star Wars, and we got Star Wars again, yay! And then Rogue One came out, and I actually thought it was K2SO4 and the Darth Vader scenes and the space battle at the end, and actually seeing the characters who wasn't very good at the beginning be meaningful and sacrificing themselves to get the thing done at the end, I thought it was great. Last Jedi. Oh, hell. And then you have that. And another thing was Westworld. And for that matter, Game of Thrones. Game of Thrones, I was brought into it after 3 seasons. And I went through the first 3 seasons, it was great. And I watched the 4th season, it was great. So I started buying the seasons sight unseen in their Blu-rays or their DVDs, it was DVDs at the beginning, but buying them in their Blu-rays. And I did the same thing with Westworld because I heard Westworld is great. So I trusted people. They said it, and you know what? Season 1 was great. So yeah. Then I bought Season 2, sight unseen. Oh, fuck. Season 2 of Westworld. Fuck Season 2 of Westworld. I was so taken in by the first season, just like the same thing. I was so taken in by I wasn't so taken in by 2009 Star Trek, but I loved Star Trek, and I was with Star Trek the longest, and I like Star Trek functionally more than Star Wars. But man, I was taken in hypnosis, or whatever you want to call it, by The Force Awakens. And Rogue One kept me going until Last Jedi. Screwed the pooch. I think I kind of lost as I was going into that big thing. As you listened to me go off on my little tangent there, I wasn't certain that I had done everything. So let's go back in here and put that thing away. And go to the last one, the Sorceress. So yes, my hot takes, Darius, my hot takes. I base my idea of what my hot takes would be, or when I have hot takes, but on 2 things. My hot takes are ill-informed because I can be very emotionally drawn in. The hypnosis can claim me. So I don't trust my ability to, on first example, like a case in point, when you talk about like EFAP, who I have become fans of, these young men, Muller and Rags, and now Fringy. They are very capable of not being taken away by their emotions, but still allowing their emotions to come into play when something really touches their emotions. And that's something I don't see in myself. I don't see myself evaluating logically. My ability to be broken from to connect to my logical side and to simply allow a movie to play is very easy. It doesn't take that much for a movie maker to maintain or not break my cognitive dissonance. Eric K! What the fuck are you doing up, sir? It is like 3 in the morning? 6:30, 6:13, 6, 5, 4, 6, 5, 4, 3. It's 3:13 in the morning, Eric Carey. What are you doing up? Well, I do that all the time, but I didn't think you did. You've been up all night. I'm just trying to finish my my big ass lingerie girls game here. I got one more thing to do. Oh no. That was well, not quite the same, but Just Another Redshirt was having a insomnia night too. I'm sorry, sir. I didn't know you actually did deal with insomnia or other stuff. It is very good to have you here. Thank you for coming in here, Eric. I appreciate you. Eric, you are here, and I realized something. I'm wondering if I should mod you. I don't have any mods. I didn't even mod Just Another Redshirt. But it's like, you're Eric K. You need to be blue. You need to have a wrench. Need to try soon, but I wanted to stop in. I appreciate it very much. Thank you, sir. Eric, I don't recall you discussing dealing with pain. I don't know if you want to, but everyone mods you. I've never done this before. So this is what a user has when they have access to their user controls when I own the stream. Put user in timeout, hide user on this channel, add moderator. Wow. Eric K is a moderator on my channel like he is everywhere. Yes! I need like an effect because this certainly doesn't do. Eric K, mod on my channel. Thank you, sir. The Modimus Infinitus. Darius Munchausen. Or the wrench. I don't think I could come up with the word for wrench in Latin or any other Romance language. I simply don't know it. Ah, my sorceress, who is also subject to being easily taken out by significant martial force. But she's got this great big negative zone that she projects in front of her that destroys about damn near anything. We are playing, it's functionally an alpha level game, Eric K. It's called League of Maidens. It's got lots of monetization and things like that in it already. It's being developed by a very small development team, so it's not going very fast. It's only got 2 areas right now, but their next update is going to add a 3rd. And functionally, it's just about pretty girls in costume outfits that are basically like superheroes with special powers. And yes, this lady is dressed in lingerie because I really need I want more superhero costumes. Want more superhero costumes. And all my girls got big butts, and I cannot lie. Because I like that sort of thing. Come on, get your keyboard right, man. Clavis. Clavis Maximus. So yes, this is League of Maidens. It is a Steam game. It is an alpha. It's got a lot of monetization. You can do... I don't know if you can do everything, but I think you can do everything that you can pay for just in the long run by playing the game normally. But there is definitely loot boxisms and stuff about the game. But it is a lot of enjoyment from just, well, you get to follow around sexy waifu type girls with superpowers and spells and build them out to be massively capable of this thing. I'm just hoping that they are still able to continue to provide significantly more content and they don't really go into the monetization too hard because they are already solidly in it already. Yes. League of Maidens on Steam. And if the lingerie that the girl isn't wearing isn't obvious enough, there are adult elements to this, and those things are mostly purchasable elements that you can basically, you can if you want to, if you really want to go full male gaze on this, you can play the character nude. That's why this is adult. And other characters can be nude and things like that. So yes, it's full on male gaze. We're seeing if this will actually get me canceled before I've even gone that far. Or something like that. Well, maybe not deliberately, but there you have it. I think I'm going to start using that more. Clavis Maximus. Yep. Yeah, there's plenty of things like what I'm doing right now, Eric, is it's functionally farming materials. These gem things that are here, I do with all of these characters so that I can get this guaranteed materials for crafting and leveling up characters. And had I been alone, I might have done it faster, but it was way more interesting doing this on a live stream with Just Another Redshirt, and we had Flaria show up earlier, and we had JP's Tabernacle, and we had a guest from Hong Kong who left a little while ago, who was in Matt's stream earlier, Geek Hazu, and now we've got you and Darius Munchausen. And I'm way more lively because you people are here. And that's what I'm talking about. The extroversion, at least as much as you get extroversion on YouTube and in a live stream, is in full effect now because I got people here. I got peeps to hang out with and talk to. We had this big discussion earlier, Eric, about when it started off stream, but got to talk to Just Another Redshirt about his experience with music and is being trained classically in various instruments, and many of the things he'd done early in life, and that's how it basically started. Well, I started screwing around in the little game. Marvelous. That's what we do here. So I do this with each of 5 different classes. Yeah, that's the thing. If I actually plan, this is more about me getting experience. At least that's the way I'm treating it, Eric. I really am doing this more than anything. Like, I don't know what I want to do with YouTube, but I've definitely had the opportunity to buy tools and to do things and to make myself capable, because that's one thing that I do. I make myself capable of doing these things. So I'm kind of practicing YouTube. I'm kind of playing with it. You look marvelous. Yes, I remember that a little bit. Kind of. Matter of fact, I know I'm fucking it up because he had his Billy Crystal way of saying it, and that's not even a proper aping of it, and a proper imitation. You look marvelous. I see no reason why you couldn't. You definitely know certain parts of the business, Eric. It'd all be about, I mean, I've got miscellaneous passions, miscellaneous interests. One of the things about YouTube now is, like, when Gary mentions it, is basically duplicating the people who are caring about and concerned about our genres and the things that we care about. And we need people who will talk about that and talk about it at length and defend these things, to literally gatekeep from people who are destroying the things from the inside now. But I mean, my interests are more than that. Adult fan of Lego. I've got lots of Legos and things like that, and even with Lego amongst many other companies being more interested in being woke and so on and so forth, I'm still interested in it. I have all the different genres stuff that I'm interested in, technology in general, the fringy stuff, the woo-woo and all of that. The games, although Eric, I've only played like one game for 13 years, and then that game shit all over me when they decided I was botting, and I wasn't, but I couldn't do anything about it. This has been like the first game that I paid a Patreon for it. This has been the first game I've given money to, except like a little pittance from Steam, for ages. That's a big deal, but well, now I got some games. Yeah, I see no reason why you couldn't start a channel. It'd just be about, my whole diatribe there was, I've got many interests and I got skills and I got hobbies and I got things that I want, but if you got anything you're interested in that you're passionate about, Eric, start a fucking channel. If you're interested in hunting, start a channel about hunting. If you're interested in rock climbing, start a thing about that. If you're interested in jumping out of planes and extreme sports, start a channel about that. If you're interested about local food in your area, do your own version of like what Nick Weiser is doing and start talking about food and eateries and things like that, especially now that fucking California is opening up, sort of, I think. Not sure about that, because I don't necessarily believe it, because it's California and the guys in the governor office I wouldn't trust. See? Going back and forth between what I could do, cooking with Eric K. There you go. If you want to start a cooking channel, if you got a particular flavor, I mean, hell yeah, that's a hell of a lot easier than opening up a restaurant. Many interest and do something. Same here. I fully understand. Yes, Gavin fucking Newsom. And I mean, I'm in Michigan. I got my own problems with Gretchen large and in charge in this state. Darius knows what I'm talking about too, as a matter of fact. But Gavin fucking Newsom, I have no idea what's going on the West Coast, and I pray for you guys. That's about as much as I can do. Send positive vibes and prayers, and maybe things will get better. Well, at least if we break out of this whole thing with the bad stuff, the coof and all that's going on, and what we do to recover from it. Yes, that I have actually seen. I started a brand account on Twitter. I told you about that, as a matter of fact. Effectively to distance myself from my actual account that is actually me. But I've been spending more time and connecting with more people while not wanting to spend too much time on Twitter. But I've seen stuff about that he is fighting the recall, or trying to fight it, and trying to redefine it and downplay it and make it about something else. And it will definitely be one of those like, well, where does the truth lie? How many people actually see the truth? How many people might believe him if he says one thing and does another? I mean, he certainly has played his, I can't see the guy except being a very sort of, he's got a face, he's got a character, and getting in on personality is not that, or at least that's my hot take, that he, much like our second in charge of the country, who got in on other traits, apparently. He got in on character, he got in on personality, he got in on selling himself or being able to, or that's what it seemed like to me from a complete outsider's hot take perspective. But he doesn't seem to have substance, and it's really showing up now in his lack of decision making, lack of actual planning, lack of doing anything gubernatorial or gubernatorial, behaving as a governor. He's just behaving as a mouthpiece for the party and the local stance on issues. Barely even that. At least that's another hot take. No. And then, I mean, here I can barely put up with the concept of the woman that we have in charge in our state and her doing very similar behaviors and very similar actions and very similar how she behaves as a governor of our once great state. I don't know, I like my state, but I haven't necessarily been very happy with the leadership we as a people have chosen to run it and how they have chosen to behave. But I think I'm not alone in that in the United States. It is what is, and the best thing that we can do is make considered choices the next time that we vote as a whole governed people, rather than just voting for the next latest yellow dog in a party that we say that we're a part of, but not really, or say that we're part of because they say all the right things to get us to vote for them. That was something that showed up in a tweet, actually. There's a thinking about it. It showed up in a tweet recently that if I could, I would go over there and I would spend the time looking for it. But it showed up in a tweet about no, it showed up on Discord. Old media guy, I think, brought it up on a Discord about the two-party system and the media asking you, Democrat or Republican, and an outsider addressing it as me is like that there must be something wrong when you only have two choices, and the only two choices that you get are the two choices that they present, and the media is constantly asking and getting more exasperated with the question because you're not answering it, because you don't want answering it, because you can't stand with either of those sides. You just might as well stand in between. Some people here think he did a great job all through this and blame that evil orange person. Yes, of course. Even though each governor had the choice on what to do. And Twitter is a horrible place. I try only go for DMs for the most part. Yep. The most that I engage with it is very obliquely. I'm kind of proud of one thing. Now, the new account I made, obviously it hasn't interacted much, but I'm interacting more with that, at least more with people that I care about. And I definitely was not interacting a whole lot with the kerfuffle last week. That you probably understand what I'm talking about just by saying that. I don't need to dredge that up. But yeah, not interacting. And when I go back to it, you know that Groundwire or the site that Gary brought up once about showing who are the people that he interacts with and what his news sources are. I went on that with my old account, and it had no idea what I was. It had no idea where I leaned. It had no idea where I interacted. The only thing true about it was the most common interactions on it were Doomcock. Let's see. I think that one I had interacted with Raquel Briggs. So I had interacted with her and someone else. And like on the new account, the most interactions that I had were Nerdrotic and Anna, that Star Wars girl. And it was just the people that I had spent the most time with because they're people that I care about on Twitter. And not mouthpieces, not blue check marks, not authoritative sources. I don't need none of that. Nobody needs any of that. Especially not in the venue that Twitter provides, which breeds such terrible darkness. The darkness of the behavior of people. I mean, Eric, I don't actually know how old you are. Not that has that much to do with it, but I was around on the internet when it was very young, and when bulletin boards had trolls and things like that, people that would just the initiation of the flame war, which is really something that has now become the flame war has become weaponized in Twitter. The Twitterverse is weaponized. Flame war from the bulletin boards, from the news groups, from the first chat rooms, all of that stuff. And it's terrible how much the weaponization has made it so that it's just an evil place. You can't even think of spending time there. Not realistically, because if you do, you'll eventually get dragged down into the pit and beaten by the contempt and the lowness of people. That site had as already is liberal for most things. Yeah, yes, I remember that now because Nerdrotic interacted with as, and as was it listed as Republican influenced, as I mean, geez, paint him with a red brush, and it's like, wait, I've seen as. I know how as talks. I know who he interacts with. I know what he cares about. And that can't be right. Apparently, he's getting plenty of, according to Groundwire's position on where he gets his sources, he apparently is listening plenty to the opposite side. I don't know if maybe that's what he does to get wound up or whatnot. Or something. Throwing darts at the wall, grasping at straws, whatever, because it's crazy. I don't know if it means anything or if it means nothing, or if we just don't know what it means. All done. Now, well, Eric, I don't know if we lost Darius because his head might have hit the keyboard and it just didn't hit enter, but damn. Oh shit, man. You got shit to do to prepare for Friday Night Tights. I mean, Guy, I will be there as much as work allows. You know how the thing is. I disappear all the time on Friday Night Tights. I will try to help as much as possible, but work claimed me last week. Fucking work. And I know it's not bad all the time, but it's like Gary is the one place I am wrenched now. And I do appreciate that trust, and I want to help out when I can, but fucking work sometimes. Well, they're paying me, so I can't really say that much. I need to run errands early. Yeah, functionally, you should. I'm actually done here, so I'm going to close out the stream, Eric. You get to sleep or get a rest, get a nap in, power nap, whatever. Does that mean something? Used to. Get a power nap in. Rest your eyes, rest your weary bones, run some errands, and I will see you on Friday Night Tights, sir. You are way more capable than I am, sir. Even at my best. I could handle... I mean, I could probably handle the business of 1.5K if I was, like, concentrating on it. That's a guess. And I do that. I mean, I have the command center. I have the screens. I have the split stuff. If I wanted to, I could probably do some of the stuff that you do with all of the links and stuff and whole catalogs of the stuff. But I am not prepared. However you do it, you are beyond me, sir. So yeah, Eric, get some fucking rest. Take care of yourself, man. And in the meantime, I'm going to assume Darius Munchausen has finally nodded off because he is apparently in the same time zone I am, and the sun has been up here probably for an hour. So I'm going to get my own sleep. And I'm going to shut this thing down. Let's see. That's not going to transition very well. But yes. I have my computer, big screen, my phone, iPad, and 6 chats to be in. Yeah. Eric, I have 4 computers running here all the time. Well, I don't count that 5th one back there. I have 4 computers here running all the time. That screen is dark because I disconnected a computer. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screens on 4 computers. Nice hanging out with you too, sir. Thank you very much for showing up and for talking with me and for finishing out my stream with me. Eric K., get some rest and take care. I will see you later on Friday Night Tights, I hope. And ladies and gentlemen of the wider YouTubes, the Chromebook 2. You do that, sir. Ladies and gentlemen of the YouTubes and whoever might show up, I thank you for hanging out on my live stream and for watching as I leave this open. I don't know why. I appreciate any likes, shares, and subscriptions are all appreciated. And you can always hang out with some of my friends. You might throw a like or share or subscription over to Matt at Foul Ball Productions and Vigilante Williamson on his channel, who I always love his takes. That man keeps me sane with some of his takes because he always tests things. Thank you, sir. Smash that like and make sure the bell is ringing. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mythior Sar, also known as Draco Argentus. And I wish you a very good day. Take care. Be excellent to each other and party on. Take care.